Right now, in a spotless fabrication facility in Hsinchu, Taiwan, a single machine the size of a school bus is etching circuits thinner than a strand of DNA onto silicon wafers. This machine cost $200 million. There are only a handful like it on Earth. And every single one belongs to Taiwan's Semiconductor manufacturing company. Without these machines, your iPhone stops working. The Pentagon's missile systems go dark. Tesla's autopilot becomes a paperweight. One company, on one island, controls 92% of the world's most advanced computer chips. Morris Chang was 60 when he founded TSMC in 1987, already past retirement age by Silicon Valley standards. The Taiwanese government had recruited him from Texas Instruments with a simple mandate: build a semiconductor industry from scratch. Chang had watched American companies like Intel and Motorola dominate chip manufacturing for decades. But he saw something they missed. While American firms designed and manufactured their own chips, Chang proposed something radical: a pure-play foundry that would manufacture chips designed by other companies. Intel's executives laughed at the idea. Andy Grove, Intel's legendary CEO, told Chang in 1986 that contract manufacturing would never work because companies would never trust their most valuable designs to an outside foundry. Grove was spectacularly wrong. Chang's first breakthrough came in 1989 when Broadcom, a scrappy startup in Irvine, California, needed someone to manufacture their communications chips. American foundries quoted them prices that would have bankrupted the company. TSMC offered the same service for 60% less. Within 3 years, Broadcom was generating hundreds of millions in revenue, and every major chip company was calling Hsinchu. By 1995, TSMC was manufacturing chips for NVIDIA's first graphics processors. By 2000, they were producing the ARM processors that would eventually power most smartphones on Earth. The real game changer came later when Apple approached TSMC about manufacturing chips for their products. Initially, Apple used Samsung for iPhone chips, but TSMC became a major supplier later. By 2023, Apple was paying TSMC over $20 billion annually, making them TSMC's largest customer. But the moment that changed everything happened on October 7, 2022, in a windowless conference room in Washington, D.C. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo sat across from Lou Dayan, TSMC's chairman, and delivered an ultimatum disguised as a request. But what Raimondo didn't say out loud was even more shocking: U.S. intelligence had wargamed a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. In every scenario, America's military went blind within 72 hours. The Biden administration was implementing the CHIPS Act, the most aggressive industrial policy in American history. TSMC could either build advanced fabrication facilities in Arizona, or watch as export controls cut them off from American technology forever. Lou's response would determine whether America remained a superpower or became a technological colony. Because here's what terrified Pentagon planners: TSMC's dominance wasn't just about manufacturing, it was about a 20-year head start in the most complex industrial process ever created. Their 3-nanometer chips contain transistors so small that 50 billion of them fit on your thumbnail. Each chip requires over 1,500 manufacturing steps, using machines that cost more than a Boeing 787. ASML, the Dutch company that makes TSMC's most critical lithography equipment, produces only 20 of their most advanced machines per year. TSMC owns 13 of them. Samsung owns 3. Intel owns 2. China owns 0. The human cost of this technological race became clear in 2021 when the global chip shortage triggered by COVID-19 shutdowns revealed just how dependent the world had become on Taiwan. Ford Motor Company had to idle 22 factories, laying off 12,000 workers, because they couldn't get the chips needed for their F-150 trucks. PlayStation 5 consoles became impossible to find, selling on eBay for triple their retail price. General Motors lost $11 billion in revenue. Dr. Chris Miller, author of Chip War, calculated that the shortage cost the global economy over $500 billion. And it all traced back to a few weeks of reduced production at TSMC's facilities in Taiwan. Xi Jinping understood the implications better than most. In a classified speech to the Chinese Communist Party's Central Committee in March 2021, obtained by Reuters, she called Taiwan's semiconductor dominance a dagger pointed at China's throat. Beijing had spent over $100 billion since 2014 trying to build a domestic chip industry. The results were embarrassing. SMIC, China's most advanced foundry, was still 7 years behind TSMC's capabilities. Worse, their equipment suppliers were all American or European companies subject to U.S. export controls. When the Biden administration banned the sale of advanced semiconductors to China in October 2022, it effectively froze China's technological development at 2019 levels. You're living through the most important geopolitical shift since the Cold War, and it's happening inside buildings you'll never see, using technology most people can't pronounce. Taiwan's position is simultaneously stronger and more precarious than ever. TSMC's revenue hit $75 billion in 2023, larger than the GDP of most countries. But that success has painted a target on Taiwan's back. Pentagon wargames consistently show that any Chinese invasion of Taiwan would begin with airstrikes on TSMC's facilities. The irony is perfect. The technology that made Taiwan indispensable also made it the most valuable target on Earth. Today, TSMC is building a $40 billion fabrication complex in Phoenix, Arizona, scheduled to begin production in 2025. Samsung is constructing a $17 billion facility in Taylor, Texas. Intel is spending $20 billion on new fabs in Ohio. But here's what the headlines miss: even if these projects succeed perfectly, they'll produce chips using 4-nanometer technology, 2 generations behind TSMC's current capabilities. Morris Chang, now 93, recently told the Financial Times that America's attempt to rebuild semiconductor manufacturing will take at least 15 years and cost over $1 trillion. By then, TSMC will be producing 1-nanometer chips using technology that doesn't exist yet. The machine humming in Hsinchu right now isn't just manufacturing computer chips. It's manufacturing the future, one atomic layer at a time. Taiwan holds the keys to artificial intelligence, autonomous vehicles, quantum computing, and military systems that haven't been invented yet. Every major power on Earth is trying to break TSMC's monopoly, and every one of them is failing. So here's the question that should keep you awake at night: what happens when the most important company in the world sits on the most contested piece of real estate on Earth?